You're gonna be thirsty. That's what I'm doing. You can if you want, because we'll let Dan introduce. But anyways, we're
All right,
live.
we're
Back
live.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Here, let me. I'm going to drop the new link into the league chat so we can get everyone back here. Let's see here. All right, here we go.
You're live with a bunch of empty chairs.
Right.
How do these guys start this stuff up? I don't know if I can curse on this. I curse a lot.
All right, here I'm dropping the link right now. And we're back. I'll tag all. All right, let's see if we got the thumbnail right this time. What the heck? Wait. I think I may have done the wrong one. Oh, good Lord. All right, let's delete
Technical
that.
difficulties.
Yeah.
Technical.
Oh, we are live. It still says live startup plus breaking NFL news.
No, it shouldn't say that.
It does.
It should say. It should have Daniels as the. Daniels
Yes,
and Worthy. It's saying for me. It's saying start reactions.
Okay, I'm
Roasting.
refreshing my app then. I don't know what's going on here.
And roasting.
Yeah,
Don't forget the roasting.
that's right. That's what you're here for.
Oh, yeah, now it's good. Now it's good. Okay,
Perfect.
so I'm gonna copy this link, share, copy, and we put this in the lead chat. Paste. And we're back.
Oh, shit.
Let's see if that works now. Yeah, okay, cool. We should be good now.
Perfect.
Yeah, so welcome back to the live stream, take two here. Yeah, so we are back with Joshy at Joshy Lips on Sleeper, and we are going to break down the three teams that got cut off in last night's live stream, where we were covering each manager's startup draft in the break room. So yeah, we were having some Shakir conversation earlier, as well as some other topics, but what do you think, guys? Are we ready to jump into breaking down these teams, or should we give a few minutes for everyone to roll in? What are your thoughts?
We did the whole stream, crapping on Shakir. I think we're ready to go into the teams.
All right, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
You can always rewind, catch up, watch it later, whatever. So yeah, let's jump into it. So I think we're gonna start with Coda's team because he was the one manager who didn't get covered last time. Yeah. So we're gonna put him up to the front of the line here.
He actually said, and I remember now, we actually did start covering his team for like a millisecond, and then we switched to Pally. So that's how that happened.
So it's all Pally's fault. So just blame him. But yeah, we're back to covering Coda. So also before we dive into Coda's, he did send me a DM today and give me a little context with regard to his strategy with the startup. He said that he wanted to try basically a strategy where he went with where he took 0 rookie picks and just he wanted to see how that worked out. So but yeah, he also added that normally he loves rookie picks, but he just kind of wanted to see what this would how this would turn out.
Not well is the answer.
Yeah. He got the answer loud and clear.
Yeah. Hey, I'm surprised he didn't draft Shakir while he was at it. So
right. Yeah. The cherry on top.
Yeah. So it looks like he started out, hot on quarterback. He ended up making a trade to get Amon-Ra St. Brown, so he ended up missing his 4th and 5th round pick. And from there, he basically just goes wide receiver U. It looks like it. And I've noticed in another league we're in with him. I think that's actually his team name, his wide receiver U. So he loves his receivers, his Zay Flowers, all those guys, Pickens. It's overall a solid team. He's not really weak anywhere, from what I can see. Except for just basically he traded Josh and I his first, got a guy like Henry and stuff late.
And he did make a trade during the startup where he got Amon-Ra St. Brown. I believe the trade was with Seb Bolton. So I don't remember the exact details of it, but
confusing.
He gave up Garrett Wilson. I don't know the exact details though.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
there was 8 picks involved. It's too.
Yeah, it was a complicated deal, but yeah, we lost St. Brown. So I'm sure he did okay in that deal if he's getting St. Brown back, most likely. But yeah, he does have nice wide receiver depth.
Yeah.
I mean, there really aren't like too many weaknesses on the team. Is Komet his starting tight end, or I guess Ferguson would be. So Komet's his number two. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, we're, kind of joking about this team and, some people have been trashing it a bit. I mean, I don't think it's that bad. I mean, it does help that, like, in terms of just how it looks now, that, like, because he didn't take any rookie picks, it's pretty loaded with, like, good players. But wait, does he have his 26 first, or do you have that, Blake?
We own it. We own the
Yeah,
26.
you own it.
Yeah, we
Okay.
own that. We
Yeah.
own that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I should
Yeah.
say so yeah, Blake and Joshy are co-managers in this league. Yeah, for anyone that didn't know that, or anyone that's not in the break room that's watching this right now. And then, yeah. So okay, so you guys own the first, and so do you guys remember much about that trade? Like what was involved?
That was
You
the
talked
parado-
about in the last stream.
Yeah, that was the that was the one we talked about for like 30 minutes. It was like the paradoxical trade.
Oh, yeah, of
You know,
course.
we
of
can't
course.
even get into that, but
Yeah, of
basically,
course,
he the easy way to put it is he got George Pickens for his 26 first. That's the easiest way to put it.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, that was a fascinating trade. Like I kind of thought that Coda got fleeced in that at first, but then when you like explained it a certain way, it seemed like, oh well, I guess that's kind of fair. But then like you look at it another way, and it's like, no, wait, he did get fleeced. So
yeah, it really was. Like when we weren't really willing to take less. Is basically a good way to put it.
yeah,
For good
Yeah, we
reason.
would have picked there.
And that was pre Pickens. You could take a first at that point. So like it all made. I don't know.
Yeah.
You gotta watch the
If
other
I
stream
were to
for that.
talk about Coda's team, I would say, he's starting off with, I would say one elite quarterback. I don't put Kurt Herbert in the elite quarterback tier, but he could do very well in this league this year. But three running, almost all of his running backs could be nothing next year.
Yeah.
So he's going to lose value on all of those players, and he's going to be left with 6 wide receivers and two quarterbacks, and no first.
Yeah.
So he's got to get lucky to win, which could happen. But other than that, he's going to be bleeding value within a year's time,
yeah.
most likely.
I mean, he
And
could always,
I looked into
trade off some
Pollard's
of these-
contract. I think he can get out after this year. White's at the end of his rookie deal. Swift could be dust after this year.
Yeah.
Even this year.
Yeah, I mean, if the
So-
season doesn't go well for him, he could, flip those running backs in season, assuming they're doing okay. Or like next year, if it's kind of time for him to rebuild or reload a little bit, he could tear down some of those receivers or trade him for picks. Or so he would have some options. Like I don't know if I'm not sure if he's going to necessarily be like screwed in a year, but there's definitely some risk, and I definitely understand what you're saying there. And it's it's not the way I would build my dynasty team, and from the sounds of it, it's not the typical way Coda builds his dynasty teams either. But yeah, he wanted to experiment here, so I mean, this is the result. And let's see, where did he take like Swift and Derrick Henry? I mean, did he at least get like decent value on that?
7-10, 12-4. Henry at
Okay.
7-10, Swift 12-4, and then he got let's see, he got Tony Pollard 12-8, which honestly I probably like that one more than the Swift one.
Yeah. Hey, Joshy, like,
Me too.
what's your philosophy with like some of these like really productive running backs as they start like aging? Like, do you typically like try to like get off before they like fall off the cliff and like go to zero value, or do you kind of like push in the envelope and you see if you can get one more year? How do you usually handle that?
I mean, it depends if I'm competing or not.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Obviously,
if you're competing, you'll push the envelope.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Like James Conner was great last year. Aaron Jones was great last year. I mean, he got injured, and they both got injured, but at the wrong time. But
Mhm.
I mean, they were great.
Yeah.
I mean, Kamara right now. I drafted Kamara in the first startup I did in the 9th round.
Okay.
I went Barkley Kamara actually.
And so was
Barkley
that
in the-
was that like what, 2 seasons ago then?
No, this
this-
a few
Oh,
a
the
month
first
ago.
startup of this season, of this offseason.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think they're great picks. I mean, I think Connor was going at a better price last year than he is this year, but still, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a little more ambiguous this year, I think.
Yeah. So what do you think? Where Coda took Henry and Swift, do you think it was a little early for those guys, considering like their age and situations?
I think Henry's the best pick he made.
Oh, okay.
If
Interesting.
he's a win now team, yeah. Well, first of all, he made his he named his team King Henry, and then getting him, I think is pretty good. It's the right place. It's the
Yeah.
right place.
I mean, he didn't
I
If
like
he can
exactly.
do
I disagree.
I mean, here's
what?
the thing. At least he didn't like reach for him. Like, I mean, if he
Yeah.
really wanted to guarantee Henry, like he could have taken him even earlier. He kind of just like let him, I guess fall to
Right.
him,
Yep.
roughly where he was
That's
going.
why I like it. That's why I like it.
Yeah. So he didn't force
The
it. So
the
I
I think,
wasn't drafting any Henry. Don't get me
yeah,
wrong. It's just
yeah.
I'm not pushing it with him,
yeah. The
and because
ADP will
in a point per
say,
carry league, maybe.
yeah, like
Yeah.
point per but in an ADP league, like it started 11, so he even just like one player always just has like less impact. It's just like
Sure.
last year, like the fact that you can go up in value like even like 2 to 3 rounds, because like he'll even get picked like in the 6th round. I've seen.
Mhm.
Um, so like yeah, maybe this is like actually somewhat a reasonable price where he's going this year. But I just
Mhm.
the
Right.
Henry, how are you going up in value? You're like turning 32. You had a picture perfect season. Understand he's an alien, but like we see, I would make a comp to Dan before we even picked Adams. And Adams, of course, just sneaks into the single digit rounds by 2 picks because of the Rams trade. But like
Mhm.
Mhm.
Adams and like he went down a few rounds, and now Henry's going up a couple. They both had amazing seasons. I think there was like 2 points per game difference between them. Adams, of course, got traded. Terrible teams.
Mhm.
Whatever. Who's the Minshew throwing him the ball? Just ridiculous stuff going on there. So it's just funny to see like that the 32-year-old running back is, or whatever. I think he's 30, turning 32 now. The oldest running back in the league. Yeah, is going up in value. Yet like Adams is going down. That doesn't make sense to me. But I don't know. I can
Yeah.
understand wanting Henry in your team though because he's amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I
I
was
think
kind of
just
torn
because
because
he
like,
named his team King Henry.
That's right. Yeah, the profile
yeah. I
That's what.
picture.
mean, I inherited Derrick Henry recently on an
Yeah.
orphan that I just took over, and it actually is a 0.25 point per carry league. And so I
Mhm.
was tempted to just kind of roll with them. I mean, the team I thought I could contend with, but like ultimately I got a deal where like I basically got like the 112 for him, and that's just more my style. That like unless I think like I really need Derrick Henry on that roster, and there's not like a replacement I can get like in the draft or some other way through trade or whatever, I'd rather just kind of like get off the risk and like get younger because like I feel like
Mhm.
with the price of him, I mean, if I can get a first for him, a late first, but still a first round pick for him, and a great loaded running back class where I feel like I can get a pretty good running back there, I'm just inclined to just kind of, reset the clock and get younger. But I can understand kind of going either way, especially in a point per carry league. But that's kind of my
Yeah.
thoughts on it.
Yeah, I'd be more pro Henry. I'll say like in an active league, but when you're in a startup, you can pick any player you want, so
Right,
you can
right.
like make up for points, yeah, later down the board, or just with a different
Mhm.
back. And then
Mhm.
he could, I think he took him over the 112 or 111 or something like that. So it's just like yeah, you can get a player, it's
Yeah.
probably way 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 more valuable 12 months from now or whatever, right? And that's not everything. Points are important, and you'll see that in our drafts. That we care about points over value sometimes, but.
Mhm.
Sure.
Anyways, so I mean, I'm gonna vote Henry as the worst pick. What do you guys think as his worst pick?
Hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of things I would have done differently potentially. So I don't know if they're
The
the
whole
worst.
draft. That's the worst pick as every pick.
Wait. We didn't say his best pick. No one said his best pick.
Well, we're going worst. Worst first here.
Going worst first. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right. We're roasting first. Okay.
Yep. Where did you get Devonta Smith? What round is that?
5'9".
5'9". I guess that's not terrible. It just feels like an unexciting pick, and not because he's not really talented, which he is, but he's just kind of stuck in that like Eagles offense, which is as run heavy as it's ever been. Ever since Saquon got there. Not to mention, of course, like Jalen Hurts, stealing all the touchdowns and running the ball, and so it just feels like there's not a really high ceiling on Devonta Smith right now. And it's disappointing because like I had hopes for him, pretty high hopes for him last season. I thought he might have his career year, and just really disappointed. So yeah, I guess it's not terrible value, but it just feels like an unexciting pick. Like it's just not going to like win you your league, and it just sort of keeps you treading water.
They need Saquon to go down for that pick to pay off.
Yeah, probably.
And then they're going to go to a pass first team. And
Yeah.
that's just the way it is. Or for Brown to get traded, one of the
Yeah.
two, which doesn't seem like it's happening.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, like, I guess at that cost, late fifth round, it doesn't sound too bad. I mean, normally you imagine Smith, going earlier than that, probably. I'm assuming like, 1 year ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe it's not a horrible idea to like buy low on him. And if anything changes, like the Eagles unexpectedly start passing more, or maybe Saquon gets hurt or something like that, then
Brown
all of a
gone.
sudden you may have got, stolen him. So, I guess there may be some hidden upside there, but it's just still a pick I'm just not excited about. So I guess that's where my mind goes for the worst pick.
Yeah, gotcha. And Josh, what about your worst pick?
I mean, the worst pick, I'm going to go DeAndre Swift. I could be wrong on this, but they're going to bring in a running back. I've actually heard someone suggest they bring in 2 running backs, both Ohio State running backs for Thunder and Lightning.
They do have both those
That'd be
picks.
wild.
They have those picks, and that's like that. Now that's just
that would be
that's
insane.
pushing it.
If it's only against Ben Johnson,
Ben Johnson would be getting like.
But I also think they could put Roschon in the early
Montgomery.
down role, and draft Trayvon Henderson for the Gibbs role if they wanted to do that, and then maybe they try and move off of Swift somehow. But he's got that contract. It's really hard to get around that contract right now. So I could be wrong on saying that's the worst pick, but for me, it is right now.
Yeah, I can definitely see that one too. I'm surprised none of us said Flowers. I prefer the Smith pick to Flowers just because he picked him back to back 100%. But I think the Flowers one's a little, people were throwing his name out there in the chat earlier. That one's a little controversial for sure. How about best pick? What do you guys think for best pick here? Let me know if you want me to scroll somewhere.
Oh,
I mean, I think
my best pick.
Go ahead.
Rashad White.
Okay, Rashad White, you got it at 14-7. So obviously,
that's late. That's late.
It's late,
and that he gets those receptions. It matters, and he might only be playing one more year. That's why I said all those running backs. I mean, that's why he has to win this year, and it all works out for him.
Yeah. I mean, hey,
if all these players do what they're supposed to do, he's in a good spot.
If you could get that Rashad White season again, which is possible, like he wasn't even killing it at the beginning of the year or anything, if they I don't know, I guess they get an OC, I guess it's like not like a benefit for him, but like if somehow he can be an RB22 again, of course you're going to be, and that was such a good year for running backs, you'd be like ecstatic at 14-7. So, with his receiving role, I mean, I didn't think it was a bad pick. I actually was kind of surprised he was sitting up there so long. He's not my style pick, but I was shocked like no one else was taking him. People like the Rashad White. So what about you, Dan?
I think I gotta go Amon-Ra St. Brown. I like the value that he got in him. What was it like?
He never picked him though. That's I don't know if that's
that's right. He didn't pick him. So does that?
Count? We I don't know. That was I can't even like say if it was good because I don't even remember the trade. So you got any other one?
Okay. So we'll rule that out. I mean, this might be an interesting choice because like it's hard to imagine that you could get good value at the 103. But how about Lamar Jackson as the best pick? Because I was pretty surprised recently. I was just kind of looking at the finishes on Sleeper from last season, and Lamar Jackson was like well ahead of Josh Allen. Like I didn't realize there was that big of a gap. So like I don't really hear many people talking about that. Everyone just kind of puts those 3 guys like in any order, or the trendy thing lately is to put Jaden Daniels at number 1, or kind of like the more standard thing before that was like Josh Allen was always at the 101, but you don't really see Lamar Jackson going too much at the 101, but he has stayed very healthy the past 2 seasons. I mean, both have been MVP caliber seasons, both, in real life and in fantasy football. And, he probably got robbed on the MVP this year in real life. And for fantasy, I don't know if he really gets the acknowledgement that like he was just like far and away like the quarterback to own in fantasy that won leagues last year. So I'll say that was his best pick at the 103. I mean, it was an easy pick. It was a no-brainer, but it was still a great value if there is such a thing at the 103.
Yeah, like look at the numbers. Oh my, 41 touchdowns and 4 picks. That's probably why he's going like people understand, like you're not going to throw for that. You're not going to be.
He's not throwing for 41.
You're not doing that again next year. But I mean, that is insane that he was able to do that in such a run-heavy, offense, of course.
And do you guys have any opinion on like what the order should be for those 3 quarterbacks, or do you really like not care?
I don't care.
Yeah,
I literally don't care. If you run, like, I think these guys are all the same. Yeah, they're Allen and Lamar the same age. Daniels is 4 years younger. He was just behind Allen actually in points per game when I was checking. Lamar had 30.5, I think, when I was tracking, but I can't, it won't pop up here, so I'm not 1,000,000% sure about that. But you're right, he was like well ahead of him. Completely up to anyone's, preference.
They're all
No
interchangeable,
issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, all three of them actually afford you especially in this format, afford you to tap one of those three and not take another one until the 11th round.
Yeah.
And not one of those guys did that. Did Matt Hay do that? No, that's
yeah.
That was that's like a or not even, maybe not even drafting anyone to like Aaron Rodgers or something, and drafting Winston and all these backups that one of them's going to hit, and you just have more position players and more draft picks and more everything because you already have the positional advantage.
Yeah.
But not one of them tried that.
I'm going to go ahead, by the way. I think he picked Reed over first, so I can't give it. But I thought like 8-3 was still getting low, just for the way that he finished the season, tumbling down boards. Like I still believe in Reed, but I don't know how much I believe in him. Don't send offers of Reed to me.
Yeah, and I was
think
surprised.
He's a great talent, but
yeah,
are they going to use him?
They barely threw the ball at the end of the season. I mean, you saw it with Love.
I mean, again, if and who are they going to bring in? Are they going to draft someone? Or are they going to keep it the way it is? They're going to run 2 tight ends, 12 personnel. Like, I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, they lose receiver.
I try and stay away from players that I don't know. Like we were talking about his 2 back-to-back receivers. So this is my 4th startup. I've drafted 2 receivers past the 3-0, the 310 to the 801. I've drafted 3 receivers. No,
Okay.
2 receivers. Pickens once, and it was in the 7th, and DJ Moore once.
Oh wow!
I didn't want to have a receiver in that range at all.
It is a
in this draft.
Yeah, it's a pretty dead zone for receivers. I mean,
because you can get the same production later.
Yeah, Godwin maybe resigning is interesting now, but yeah.
So I was drafting Godwin in the 9th. It was great.
I'm actually going to give it to Jake Ferguson. I completely forgot about him. 10-3. If Ferguson keeps the job, and the thing about Ferguson is I see some negativity, but I don't know what's going on here. He doesn't want to show the PPR finishes for tight ends.
He gets targets,
but before the concussion, I think he missed a couple games with it, or he was out for like 3 games, and Schoen came in, and it was amazing. But like Ferguson was doing great pre-injury, never kind of got back up post-injury. You see that with multiple players last year, and I think if Ferguson's as long as he's gets that usage, like as far as like snaps, everything as he was getting in the beginning of the season, 10-3 at a 2 PPR, I think that's pretty damn good.
I think when Ferguson is out there playing, like he's definitely underrated. I guess, just my concern is I do think, Schoonmaker could take that job. And I think this year might be the year, not a guarantee or anything. I mean, obviously like Ferguson, surely has the edge. He's the incumbent, he's been, a solid player, but I do think Schoonmaker has a real chance to overtake him. So it will be interesting to see, but if Ferguson keeps the job, I do think it's a nice value.
Yeah. I'm extremely interested in Schoen, but it's not for him taking the job. There's 1 year left on his deal. On Ferguson, his rookie deal,
and then he's gonna get let go,
and then he's gonna get let go, and then the Dalton Schultz, Ferguson,
and then the Texans will sign Jake Ferguson once they cut Dalton Schultz, and just the cycle of life will.
But of course,
there's also a possibility they draft a tight end here, and that he jumps Shoemaker, so Schumacher, so you never know.
Yeah, it could be. It's also a little misleading for us as like fantasy players. Like we see a player, play a couple games, score some points, and we're like, yeah, he's really good. But is he really like the Dallas tight end? We don't know. I don't know enough about a player like that. It's it can be misleading, but he goes very late.
It does seem like whoever the Cowboys put in there, whatever like random, mid to late round draft pick at tight end, they usually produce. So it does seem like a good situation. So. If Schoen gets his opportunity, definitely like his chances to kind of continue the legacy of Cowboys tight ends of recent history.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you on that, and I'm trying to get some more. We had to pass up on him a couple times in that draft. Wasn't easy. But let's go to Colossal Titan, who we obviously broke him down as well last night. But his was really interesting because he trades up somewhere in the second round. Gets the Chase and Jefferson. By the way, Chase, I don't know if you guys saw that. Literally, as we were just talking, he just got an extended 4 years, 161 million.
Oh wow.
And T Higgins just got extended 4 years, 115 million. So both
Interesting.
Bengals
Wow.
receivers are just there for the next 4 years.
Yeah. So you can officially cut Jermaine Burton if you were still clinging to him at this point. Just
Yeah, hey, maybe you'll start paying his rent, and you can throw him on your taxi.
Maybe he won't get evicted
dream's
for
still
the
alive.
third time.
Pally's, he's gotta hope.
Yeah.
He starts paying his rent.
Yep.
Is that what it was? He was
Yeah, if he
not
doesn't
paying his
get
rent or
injured.
something.
Yeah, he's been like evicted for like the second time. So yeah, it's kind of a mess. It sounds like.
That's hilarious. Yeah. And they were, I don't know, I'm not gonna go into that. But anyways, the great start for Jefferson Chase. Then he gets like double elite running back at Shane Brees Hall, and then he gets like double, like low end, solid, quarterback.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I think that's like the best part of his draft is like how did he manage to get like all three of those pairs? You get like the two best receivers in fantasy. You get like two low key like stud running backs in A-Chain and Hall, which he gets. What is that? The late fourth round, basically.
early fourth.
Early fourth, still fourth round. You get Brees Hall and Devon A-Chain. Like that's awesome. So I love like the discount you get on those guys, but they're still likely to produce the studs, at least in my mind. I love those guys, and then. Even having all of that, you still get like two really rock solid young quarterbacks that are in that like really big second tier after the elite guys. You basically get like the last two in that second tier. And I'm pretty high on both Bryce Young and Tua. I think they're both underrated, undervalued. I am more than happy to have those two guys as my two starting quarterbacks in fantasy, especially if I'm loaded with two studs at both wide receiver and running back. So I love what he did in this draft.
Yeah, no, exactly. It was a great start. What I was saying last night was when we we're going on the team though, loved his start. Did not love how he landed the plane here though.
Yeah.
In my opinion, he kind of crashed it.
Yeah.
But it just
He
like
needed to take guys that could just score points the rest of the way, and he would be like one of the top.
Exactly. Like
teams.
he didn't need, obviously he wanted he was a little concerned about value, he was trying to get some guys that could go in, but with the start that he already had, like it just feels like he was just doing so well on that. He kept his first. Like obviously I pointed out like he was interested in a tight end like Ingram or something, which could be a huge difference maker. And then we, I guess we technically snipe him there, but like, since it takes Debo, who's, a question mark. Could bounce back, but it's like we're taking a backup running back. I love Charbonnet. I was very interested in him in this area, but at the same time, he's not scoring any points. You can't start him unless there's an injury. QJ, like
he might not fit into the new offensive scheme either.
Charbonnet.
So yeah.
Okay, interesting.
They're going to do a lot. They're going to do a lot of outside zone running, which is going to be really good for Ken.
Okay.
For Kenny.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of pro Ken.
And so coach loves Kenneth Walker, supposedly. He's in love with him. He's going to fits his scheme perfectly. And all the great runs that you saw Charbonnet do well on last year were all the gap runs.
Mm-hmm.
And the outside zone runs he didn't do well on.
I see.
And that's why he was getting bottled up, Kenneth Walker, and wasn't busting them all loose, was because they were doing this gap scheme.
Okay.
So that may or may not. We'll see how it comes to fruition, but that's the coach speak that I've heard so far.
Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't heard that. So, that is good to know. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But it did seem like Charbonnet fell to a decent value because, I remember that, like, he was, like, pretty near, like, the top of my queue for, like, the round or two before that. And it just seemed like, he, kept falling. And so eventually Colossal caught the falling knife there. So I don't think it was bad value, but interesting to hear what Joshy says. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, exactly.
I drafted him in a draft too before I even heard that. So
yeah,
and I could have taken the 204, and I was like, shoot, I should have taken the 204.
Yeah, it's like a great pick. in my opinion, but it's also just like not good for his team, if that makes any sense. Because
yeah, and also I think
flex.
I think probably part of the reason I passed on him is because I probably don't like a guy like Charbonnet as much in a start 11. Because like I can probably only start him if Walker gets injured, which could certainly happen. But like I need to fill out like a full starting lineup, 11 players, and I mean what pick was Charbonnet for Colossal? Was it like his 11th or fewer pick, if that makes sense? If it is, then like you could have been stronger in your starting lineup, if that makes any sense. So I think that's probably why I passed on him the round or two before. But I don't think it's terrible value. I think he did let him fall a bit, so I do like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it. And so he's could be a little empty in flex spots, not strong at tight end. Just has Pitts, who obviously
and he really needs Cooper Kupp and Debo to work out. And I'm not saying they can't. I do kind of like Debo to be refreshed and a change of scenery. And who knows, maybe the same thing happens to Cooper Kupp, although we did talk about how we're a little skeptical on that, seeing as how the Rams replaced Cooper Kupp with a wide receiver in Davante Adams that's just as old. So, like, what does that say about Cooper Kupp? Like, if they were content with an old receiver and Cooper Kupp could still play, like, why wouldn't they have just kept him, So, but who knows? I mean, like, I definitely wouldn't, doubt Cooper Kupp's ability to bounce back and surprise some people this year. So we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. Also, just we got a comment because my app was glitching out. So Cooper says he just traded DJ Moore and Njoku for Higgins, so he's happy to hear the extension. Which is interesting. I just had a chance to trade for T. Higgins in the league, although it was like I would have been giving up. It would have been like a down tier, so I wasn't a big fan. But definitely didn't expect that extension to happen just like that. So. Interesting.
Yeah, no, they've been trying to make it happen. They kept true to their word, which is good to hear. And you guys covered it last night, though. T. Higgins is great, but he comes with a lot of worry and concern. And is he going to be injured? And he's been injured a lot, not all season every year, but he's been injured every year it seems, and that gets frustrating.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. 100%.
So. Hey, if you want to be a T. Higgins owner, you have to deal with that frustration. You're going to have other, you're going to have a deeper team potentially to.
Yeah. By the way, is Cooper in the break room, or is he just a random person that discovered our stream? Let us know. Do you guys know, or if not, let us know, idea. Cooper. But either way, great to have you here. Thanks for the comment. I don't love that trade. Like, we talked about this in last night's stream. Like, I'm not, too high on T. Higgins. Like, I feel like he was on his best behavior with, like, playing through injuries and, because he was in a contract year and everything. So I guess he technically is again, but I don't know. I just don't trust him. I feel like the moment you buy high on him and trust him, like, he's going to be questionable. He's going to be, like, playing one snap and then, like...
But now he's not on a... Sorry to cut you off there. He's not on a contract year now because he just got the 4 year.
Oh, that's right. Deal. He just signed the extension. Okay. Now I'm definitely out on him. I'm definitely out on him now.
Yeah.
He's got a bag.
Yeah, exactly. Now he's on the contract here. But yeah, I was like, clear that up. But anyway, yeah, that was interesting, and there was other stuff. I don't want to be the regression, man here, but like, I mean, Joe Burrow was going nuts. Like, him and Chase, Higgins and Chase, were just absolutely eating, and that'll probably continue. But, I think Higgins is a very difficult guy to feel your value on. Like, if you own him, it's probably pretty hard to sell him for the price you want.
Yeah.
And if you're buying them, it's probably higher than you want to pay.
Yeah. By the way, Cooper says
it's Hawkeyes.
Hawkeyes 95.
What's up, Hawksy?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. And then we also have a comment from Joey Bradley. He says, just traded Jalen McMillan and Ben Sinnott for the 210 and 305 because I am running back desperate. Was thinking that I was selling before the rest catch up on the dip for McMillan since the Godwin contract news.
Okay. Yeah, because it sounded like...
What was the trade?
So he sold Jalen McMillan and Ben Sinnott, and he got the 210 and 305. What do you guys think of that?
It's funny because like I was almost gonna send in like the offer the one I have Jalen McMillan pre-contract, and just because it's before the contract, like people might be very hesitant. I was gonna send them for like a mid and late second, to try and equal like an early second. So I mean, now that it's like post contract, like I think it's fine. I still really like Jalen McMillan and Sinnott, both of those guys.
Yeah.
But it's just hard to know right now, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it
And the other,
depends what you think about McMillan, and I haven't looked
yeah,
at him more closely because if he is all that, in the year, Evans is going to retire probably, and then he should have the number two role. And if that's the case, and he is that good of a player, he's going to be in a better spot than any rookie you can draft at the 210 potentially in a year's time. So the re-roll, if you're re-rolling for maybe the 204, okay. But the 210,
yeah,
yeah, we say that this class is deep with running backs, but like really at the 210, you're going to get the eighth or ninth running back off the board, and or the sixth wide receiver off the board, or the fourth tight end off the board. You can't guarantee production on those guys.
yeah. It's
So
yeah.
it's a lateral
it's
move.
it's
Is a good way to put it
it's
because
it's yeah, yeah.
um,
If you're really confident with your evaluation of rookies and you think you're going to get the guys in those
Yeah.
two picks that the other guys aren't going to get because you have a better evaluation process, then I love it even more.
and I
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's a lateral move.
I guess I can understand, I think the key is he says, because I am running back desperate.
Gotcha.
So I think he's kind of acknowledging here that maybe he didn't get like the best value, but he was willing to lose on the trade a little bit to basically get these rookie picks where he thinks he can get a couple good running backs. So I'm okay with it. I would probably have tried to see if I could find like another way toward addressing running back, because I do like McMillan. And even if he's not going to be productive right as the season starts, Godwin and Evans are old. Like one of them's going to get injured sooner or later. I just feel like, McMillan's going to find his way on the field and making things happen like at some point sooner or later. So especially if I have the depth to be a little patient there, I think I would rather just hold McMillan. Personally, I'd need at least like an early second to even consider moving off of him, but I'm probably a little higher on the market, especially given the Godwin contract news.
Yeah, and
Right.
so Joey mentions, he likes them both. He's win now, wide receiver stacked, and and trying to cheer up. So that's the interesting part is like, depending on the market, and assuming he sent more trades to like other owners, is like if that's really all you can get, like I actually do understand just because like hopefully you could get more, but if that's the worst case, like people take draft picks. Not everyone likes Jalen McMillan, of course. The draft picks are just so much easier to trade around. So I can definitely understand that. Like if you're trying to flip that into a running back, like that's definitely understandable.
Yeah, but I mean, tearing up is hard though. I mean, in a lot of leagues, especially the shallower ones, like I mean, it can be like sometimes like near impossible to get the best player back in the deal. And maybe that's why I've gravitated more toward like tearing down, because it's just like easier to get deals done, and I'll just like tend to bet on the uncertainty, and like sometimes you end up getting the better player. So sometimes you end up tearing up, even though at the time it was technically a tear down. So like maybe be open to some stuff like that. So he's I mean, that's probably like a whole other conversation. I mean, like there are so many different ways that you can like go about trades. Like I know Blake and I have a lot of different, thoughts on that and like, the psychology of it. So I don't know if I can give you a super succinct answer, but definitely stay tuned. Like we may be like covering that exact topic in a live stream or a episode soon.
So
there's a lot of different trade approaches. Like with this example is this McMillan trade, like something I would always be considering is like looking at who has Evans, seeing if he wants him, if he's more valuable to him. So this is just a screenshot of a trade rather than more in-depth backstory.
Now,
so maybe he's gone through all these things, all these avenues, and this is the best he can do. And
one quick idea is like if you have a pretty good rookie pick, trade that rookie pick when you're on the clock in the rookie draft, plus a player like maybe McMillan that you're looking to get off of, and see what receiver you can buy with that. Because when rookie fever is in full force, maybe you can get a receiver with McMillan plus that pick on the clock that you couldn't normally get when rookie fever isn't in effect, when you're not on the clock and everyone's so excited to get these rookies. So that's something I would try.
So to clear up, he already made that trade, by the way. And then now he's saying, I don't know if you were addressing his advice on how to tier up. Not having any luck as an offer, so he just lists his receiver room. So he's got a great receiver room, and like I was gonna say, if the option if you can't tier up, like literally, I own like 50% James Conner. I would say like you could hopefully take that 210, try to get around James Conner. I mean, I think that's the best guy in that range. Like you can see on our startup board.
That's actually great advice. Try to get like those war difference makers, like James Conner, Devontae Adams. Kind of like those older guys that don't have the
Devontae Adams is going for close to a first right now.
Yeah, Chris Godwin was second in fantasy points per game at wide receiver last year, and you can get him for like typically like an early second. So, and kind of like in my startup draft, I ended up taking Saquon Barkley in the late third just because it's like I just think he can be a difference maker, and so it kind of makes up, even though he doesn't have like the dynasty value per se of the guys in like the first 2 rounds of the startup, I was still able to get that same like difference making quality. Just because he's older, you kind of get the discount. So maybe look at some older players that can kind of placeholder for that.
I got one for him here because he just got the 210 and he's got Ayuk. And Ayuk's kind of like the man out on his team. He's got these really good young receivers. He'll be slow to come back. So if you're in a win now window, I'd say why not just go take Ayuk? Like, let's take a look at this board here to see the running backs going ahead. I'd avoid the Chase Browns before the draft, of course. Post draft that could be different if he survives. But look at how deep McCaffrey goes. I definitely tested the CMC owner.
Oh, absolutely.
That would be a home run.
Also,
Ayuk only goes around later. So
here's another sneaky one, Isaac Guerrero. If you're nervous about CMC and you don't want to trade for him, just trade for Isaac Guerrero. And just bet on CMC getting hurt, and you could have the league winner right there. I know the 49ers could draft a running back, so there might be some risk there, especially since, Guerrero's price could be higher because they just traded Jordan Mason away. But if you can get Guerrero at a reasonable price, I don't know, I guess at this point, could you get him for a late second and a throw-in, something like that? I think I'd be willing to roll the dice on that. So that's another way you could get some sneaky upside.
And similarly, as a Vikings fan, I'll say see if you can get Mason low.
Yeah,
because Mason will be on the field. I can guarantee you that. Aaron Jones is only about 50-60% of snaps all season. So anyways, go test the CMC owner. See how little you have to give up on the Ayuk. If you had to give up the 205 to do it, because it's kind of tough to trade. I don't know.
Yeah,
you guys have any
and
issue
also,
with that?
how about Deebo Samuel and Cooper Kupp? I mean, I'm not saying either are guarantees. I mean, they're both very risky players, I would say. And I'm not dying to go out and trade them, but if you're truly having trouble tearing up and finding those elite producers, maybe you roll the dice on guys like that. If you got a manager that just kind of wants to get off these old, injury prone or, wash players or whatever. So that could be another thought if you can get them at a nice value.
Gotcha. Now he's saying, Joey's saying his quarterback, it's a 12-team super flex, but he has 4 stud quarterbacks. Should you sit on all of them? So it's got McCarthy, Love, Penix, Dak. I would definitely be trying to move off one, especially for a running back. It's really hard when you have 4 of them to move one. Although someone will probably need a quarterback.
Which of those QBs do you think you could get the most for, relative to market value or whatever? Who would you most want to sell in terms of what you'd get in return?
Love.
Okay, but don't you think his stock is down right now though with how he finished last season?
It is down, and I do think that Love could bounce back, but it's still relatively high if we're looking at startups, stuff like that. If you can sell them and get back Barkley, with your quarterback room. And you probably get something on top. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. Actually,
yeah, but here's the thing. Probably the best advice I can give.
JJ for Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, if you want to get rid on JJ, yeah. I mean, Jonathan Taylor's right there.
That's a little rich for me, but
I'd go to Breece Hall. I say, hey, if you're get one of those quarterbacks, Breece Hall is probably one of my favorite buy lows.
Yeah, I'd do JJ McCarthy for A-Chain. I'd be good with something like that. Yeah, I think Breece Hall would be fine. But probably the best advice I can give is if you really want to trade one of those quarterbacks and get a really good flex player return or whatever, or a package, probably the best advice is don't force I have to move Jordan Love. That's the one I want to move. And so just you're trying to force it down someone's throat in their league. Instead, see who has demand in your league, because it might be better to let the market decide, your league decide which quarterback they want, and then just be content to have the other 3. So that might be the best way to go about it if you actually want to get a deal done.
Yeah, I hope that helped. And if you got any other
and
questions.
Thank you so much for your comments, Joey. And also let us know how you found the channel, because I don't recognize your name from the Break Room League. So yeah, let us know if you're actually in there or if you just found us randomly. Let us know.
Yeah, in the meantime, let's give a quick any favorite picks. Dan, you're probably a Bryce Young favorite pick guy. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think I said that last time. Yeah, of course. Yeah, we got cut off. But I would say Bryce Young. I just think he's kind of underrated, undervalued. And I kind of compare him to Drew Brees. Not that he's going to have that career, but just in terms of being a smaller quarterback that kind of took a few years to develop and really hit his stride. He kind of had to figure out how to be a short quarterback and succeed in the NFL. And I think he started to figure that out toward the end of last season. So I don't think we've seen the best of him yet. But yeah, I love the value on him.
Yeah, and what about you, Josh? You got a favorite pick here?
Yeah, I mean, probably the quarterbacks. Where they both fell is just
Mhm.
is ideal. He just didn't have any picks around those rounds, so it's like, he doesn't have depth. He missed later, so. But I think the quarterbacks, you can't really say moving up and getting you know, a, a top tier wide receiver is the best pick, but those are great, obviously.
I
Um,
mean, yeah,
for
that's
sure.
a sick pick.
I
I
mean, we'll
love
be
giving
looking back at
sick-
Tua in a year if he doesn't get injured, and he'll be going around earlier. Um, so
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I think I said last time like two is my favorite pick, and the reason like I know Young's higher in value and stuff, but I just don't care because two is like I think he was 22 points per game, pre and post.
People don't realize how good he is in fantasy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
No one wants to touch
because of
him.
them rushing upside, they're
touchdown leagues.
playing 6 point passing TDs, so it's a big difference.
exactly. And he had 37 attempts per game post concussion. Like as long as he doesn't retire, I mean, you get a great quarterback. If he would have had to fell down to the seventh, I feel like Josh and I would have. Oh no, we didn't have a seventh, but theoretically, that would have been extremely hard to pass up on.
And Tua gives you spike weeks. Like I'm not sure
Yeah.
people realize that either in
Yep.
6 point passing touchdown leagues. So
Oh.
yeah, I love the pick as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love Colossal's draft here. If he can find the depth, whether it's scouring the waiver wire or making some, sneaky good trades, like
He has
his team
picks.
his team could definitely be scary. I like the upside.
He has the 203 and the 206.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
So
would
we'll wait to
that.
see what he can do with that.
Yeah.
My least favorite pick is Will Levis in the 17th because he could have got a position. He
Fair
could have
enough.
got a player there that
Yeah.
put up points,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it would have been a big difference in his draft. I mean, we can nitpick all the other players if this guy hits, if that guy hits, and it's true. But grabbing these players that can put up points is important.
Yeah, I actually noticed that too. I wasn't gonna say like just because it's the 17th, but like
It's
it
the
is very
17th,
true.
but-
You could
but-
get Adam Thielen and all those guys in the 17th, and there's backup quarterbacks on the waiver wire that we're just going off. There probably is still backup quarterbacks on. And is Will Levis a good backup quarterback? Probably not.
Yep.
I'd maybe
Yeah.
rather have Dalton or something.
Also, could you just scroll down to the bench again? He had a 3-pick stretch there that I thought was really good. Wait, scroll up a little bit.
Oh
Yeah, Stephon Diggs, Rico Dottle, and Michael Mayer. I love that
Yes.
trio.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, that could really go a long way toward the depth. So, yeah, I'm not sure what you were thinking with the Will Levis pick. I mean, definitely let us know. I mean, do you still see him like starting games or eventually becoming something? But yeah, I tend to agree with Josh. It kind of felt like a wasted pick, but you kind of recovered there with that trio of picks right after. So I do really like that.
Yeah. I gotta say Pitts is my least favorite. Just it's
Yeah.
nothing against Pitts as far as like it is everything to do with his fantasy value, but like, is he ever gonna do it? Is he ever gonna be that Evan Ingram? I have no idea. I just at this point like just give me a guy that's actually scoring points, and I'll worry about buying Kyle Pitts in 2 years when he's the 15th round startup pick before he starts Evan Ingram.
Yeah, I mean, Pitts has burned us too many times, so I think that's a good call. But if I had to pick one, I agree about Will Levis.
Okay, nice. And then who else? I think we've got one more.
And that's
before we
pretty
jump-
good if we're saying your 17th round pick is your worst
Right.
pick. So
Yeah, exactly. That's a
I
good
mean,
one
that-
to miss on. So
Exactly.
yeah,
That's,
I think
you know.
you did pretty well. So I mean, great job on this draft.
Exactly, yeah. And then this is what we like awarded last night as like the best team, and it's hilarious because he didn't even make a trade through it all.
Yeah, and so this is
Yeah.
this is
It
D
ha-
Hutchins.
this happens a lot. I mean, he doesn't have depth, but necessarily, but
Yeah. Oh, we got a comment. Packer Guru said Kyle Pitts ruined his life, as he has, all
Hey,
of us.
he did that for a lot of people. So you are not alone there. You're in good company.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, Andrew and I owned him in one of Josh's leagues, and like we couldn't be happier when around that national tight end day. But boy, did it ever come crashing down after that. We jumped ship just at the right time though. Flipped him for Njoku, but so
Yeah, so D Hutchins here, heck of a squad that he drafted. I mean, he starts off with those 3 receivers of Lamb, Brian Thomas, Marvin Harrison. Really took advantage of that 3rd-round reversal, which allowed him to get Marvin Harrison at the, 302? Yeah. I was really considering Marv at my 211. I ended up going Ladd, but it was really close call for me. But man, I love getting Marv in the 3rd. I think he's going to be a stud. I'm not worried about the rookie season. And then how in the hell do you still get Dak Prescott and Jared Goff in the 4th and 5th round? So you're not even like hurting a quarterback. You get like 2 rock solid QBs in that big 2nd tier. So, I mean, those first 5 picks were just absolute perfection. I mean, like, you could not do any better than that.
No, 100%. And like, there's just not a weakness on his team. If anything, it's tight end, but like Freiermuth was still really solid at the end of the year. So it's hard to even say. He just doesn't have depth at tight end, which I prefer.
Yeah, and actually, I'm actually in trade talks with him right now. Okay. He's interested in Jonnu Smith, so we got some trade negotiations going. So I don't know. I don't know if that's okay to talk about or not. I don't know if I'm like, if that's like a faux pas or something. But if it's okay, I'm happy to share if you guys are interested. But yeah, he is trying.
Maybe not the details of it, but
okay. Yeah. Okay. So we'll leave it at that. But he is trying to upgrade his tight end. So we'll see if we can work on the trade. But yeah, that's about his only weakness, and it's not even that bad. I mean, if like the rest of your team is loaded and you got to rock Pat Freiermuth as your tight end and a 2 PPR for tight ends, tight end premium, like he's gonna be just fine.
I don't know if we did.
I mean, it depends on the quarterback play. Obviously, we have to wait and see.
Yeah, I feel great about.
I have no doubts about Dak and Goff. I mean, like those guys are good year after year.
No, I mean in Pittsburgh.
Oh, I see. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's got Metcalf and
that's fair.
And Fryer and Muth. So
yeah,
maybe that's why. Maybe the Metcalf trade went through after he selected Metcalf, I believe.
Okay.
So so maybe he's trying to not have both.
Yeah, Packer Guru is
Pittsburgh guys.
Saying start the Jonnu bidding war. Maybe list a price and everyone will.
Hey, I could really take advantage of this live stream now.
That's
like,
right.
You should.
We got to start getting like the a tight end edition here. It's gonna be like Jonnu versus like Bowers or something.
Yeah.
we got to rise them up.
We all love these. We all love these wide receivers, obviously. But there is a world where Brian Thomas doesn't do anything better than last year.
Mm-hmm.
He did better with Mac Jones than he did with. Now he's already gotten the coach speak that we're going to have the offense around him, but we're always let down by T-Law every year.
Yeah.
And every year we want him to be. I mean, I took him in the 2nd round last year in the draft. It's not like I avoid him. I'm just saying. What we don't know until it happens.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. Because he could have went with Amon-Ra on that. Like, that's just an absolute nitpick because this guy destroyed his draft. But it's interesting that Brian, because before ADP, I don't think Brian Thomas, because it did update, I don't think that's ever going ahead of Amon-Ra, which was interesting. But his draft's still just absolutely amazing. I mean, if you had Amon-Ra,
I think he's going for the upside. I mean, he's going for the upside, and I can't fault him for that. I will tell you both that I disagree about Dak Prescott with everyone in the community, just because, and Blake and I have talked about this, but I think not necessarily. I mean, I have him in a few leagues, and I probably have him in 25% of the leagues I run. I manage, but like, I just don't see. I see them wanting to run the ball more. I see them drafting an elite running back, and he's not gonna have huge 40 touchdowns a year. But
I mean, what makes you say that they want to run the ball more? Because I mean, we've seen the elite upside from Dak. I mean, we've seen him have top 5 finishes on the year.
Sure. Yep. But 2 years ago is because they couldn't run the ball into the end zone, and he passed all those touchdowns from the 5-yard line in, and that's not going to happen every year. And he's 2 years older than he was from then. And yes, he had some big seasons before that, but he got injured. He didn't just get injured. His freaking muscle ripped off the bone. Like, is that going to continue? I don't know. Is he going to deteriorate quicker than other guys? He's a shorter, stockier guy rather than, 6'2", shorter. He's a bigger, stockier guy. Is it going to wear him down quicker? I don't know.
The biggest thing for me with Dak is, like, I can understand it because I wasn't taking him. He was always a 2-3 turn pick the last couple of years. I wasn't taking him there, but now you get a massive discount because of the injury so like now I'm in on Dak. Like I don't even own him anywhere, but I would be theoretically in a Dak. Like had I been drafting alone, I probably still maybe take the 106 over him, but I don't know. I just disagree on the value part. Like I get what you're saying, but if you also look at the rushing thing, like he had Zeke his entire career, and like it had nothing to do with his production. He is older, all that stuff, so it'll be interesting to see how he comes back from the injury and all. But you're getting that priced in is all.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a solid running back, quarterback to have. I mean, but they both are.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's like perfect for this guy's team, And
he gets the sack with Lamb, which you gotta love. Also, we have a comment from Packer Guru in the chat. He says, "I think Dak will have a great year, big bounce back. Mike McCarthy is a plague." So, yeah, we'll see. Yeah. I mean, I like the value on Dak here.
Yeah.
Also, for anyone in the chat, like drop your sleeper handle. Like if you're in like a league with us, like drop your sleeper handle in the chat so we know who you are. Or if you're not from one of our leagues, like let us know how you found the channel. I'm always interested to hear about that. But in any case, yeah, thank you for everyone that's joining us. We got 6 people watching right now, and just wanted to put that in there.
And you missed. I can't tell. It's like BL3 or something like that, or B3. Said drop the the Jamar the T, which is we mentioned earlier when like right when it dropped, and like that's pretty shocking that not only did they get the deals done all of a sudden on this random night, but they got both of them done at the same time. Is pretty crazy. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Ever.
And by the way, we have a bit of a milestone here that's happening live on the stream.
Oh boy,
we got 50 subscribers, so forgot to bring the champagne, but
right.
It's been about like a year in the making, that we started this channel, and we took a break for a while, like we both got kind of busy, and we were having trouble kind of keeping up with the pace of the season and managing all our leagues and teams and everything like that. But yeah, we just got back to the channel in the last few weeks here, and it's just so great to see people here watching and engaging in the chat. So yeah, just thank you everyone for supporting us and subscribing, and it's great to reach 50. So congratulations to us.
Yeah, that's
congratulations, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And by the way, Hutch, shout out Hutch is in here, and he was saying so the Cohen news got to him for the Brian Thomas, which is completely understandable. And he said in hindsight, because that's what I was going to point out, was like he could have had the double Lamb Amon-Ra stack. And maybe it's a little just remembering 2 years ago, but you remember like 2 years ago, if you had all 4 of those players on Underdog, like you would win the tournament. And if you had them in the finals, like you were literally guaranteed. It didn't matter if you had any players
there was the bring back in week 17 that was like Lions Cowboys. So,
and not only just was it that one game where everyone went nuts, Lamb was going crazy, and that was a shootout, but they were just like so good. Especially like Lamb and Dak.
Oh, I mean, Lamb was ridiculous. I mean, he was the wide receiver one in Dynasty after that season.
That would be,
that
would be nuts if he had got that stack.
But regardless. And Dak was.
But he didn't know he was getting.
He didn't know he was
getting
it
in round 4 and 5. It's
exactly.
Funny. He probably thought he might get one of them the way the draft was falling, where he was picking.
Well, exactly.
But it just goes to show you can pick best available.
Yeah.
And do really well.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
Without trading or doing anything. I did notice in his, he got Benson to cover Connor.
Yeah, I like that.
Could have had a rookie pick there but
yeah, I mean, I'd have to know what rookie pick was on the board to really decide, if he made the right decision or not, in my opinion. But generally speaking, I do like Benson. I do think he's kind of a sneaky buy. I don't personally think there's a great chance that the Cardinals draft a running back, but of course there is a chance, So, I mean, there is some risk there.
No, what I'm saying is if he didn't have Connor on the team, he wouldn't have had to have drafted him, and he might have been able to squeak a rookie pick here and there. So for what he did, he covered his ass pretty well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, for not having rookie picks, like his team's in a 6th spot.
And also we skip by his 2 starting running backs, Chuba Hubbard and David Montgomery. I think that's a rock solid pairing right there. So it's like, again, like where are the weaknesses on this roster? It's just really just Pat Freiermuth. So
I think Hubbard's a buy right now in Dynasty. I think people are going to overreact to the signing of what's his name? Rico Dowdle. So, but I still think he's a 65% lead back.
Oh yeah,
You might be right about that, Joshy, because I actually just saw a Hubbard trade go down in my 0.25 point per carry league, and I thought it was an absolute steal. And I'm mad I didn't like go after Hubbard harder because I actually was trying to trade for him, but just basically got rejected. But anyways, actually this was preparation H getting Hubbard in the point per carry league.
Okay.
And all he had to give up was the 207 and 304.
What?
Wow.
I mean, you get Hubbard and a point per carry without giving a first.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane.
Yeah, I think this is like a really reasonable spot. In fact, like I'm like the biggest Chuba guy. I think I'm still taking K9 over him, but they're going very similar here.
I take Hubbard.
You take Hubbard? Okay, interesting. Yeah, and I have like 50% Hubbard. I might even have more than that, which is pretty crazy. But this is So I was just pointing out too, like I wonder if Hutch was a little mad that he got sniped on Chase Brown, because I noticed when we were streaming yesterday, he has the all-time Canadian theme team.
Oh, okay, right.
Hubbard, he's missing Brown, but then we go down, he's got Theo Johnson, and then he's got Josh Palmer. He's basically just missing Chase Claypool.
All right.
Also, but I had to point that
out. Let us know if you're Canadian or if that's just a coincidence there. But neat little fun fact there.
Yeah. But we gotta assign. I gave this an A+ last night. And especially for like not trading picks, because you don't see that very often. But like he just didn't even need to.
What's also unique is not only did he not make a single trade, but also he has 0 rookie picks, right?
Yeah, and he kept his picks next year too, which is even crazier.
But he has that extra pick, which is nice. So I think that makes it a little more palatable as opposed to like say Coda.
It's like this is what Coda hoped his draft was gonna be,
right? Probably. Yeah,
this is what he imagined it.
It would have been interesting if Coda had picked at what was this, the 111? How similar his draft would turn.
He wouldn't have landed the plane.
Yeah. We're not gonna give Coda the benefit of the doubt here. So
what do we think for worst pick here, guys? Gotta nitpick.
Worst pick here. Yeah. Yesterday I said Theo Johnson because it's just completely like unexciting. It's like crappy Giants offense. You got like no quarterback there right now. Theo Johnson's just kind of this like, just kind of like average, like mid-round NFL draft like tight end from Penn State, and you got all these other target hogs. Neighbors there. Even Wandale can hog targets pretty well. They re-signed Darius Slayton. Tyrone Tracy's a converted running back who had a nice rookie season. Obviously, he can catch the ball out of the backfield. So, Theo Johnson's probably at best like the 4th option in this passing offense that doesn't even have a QB. So it just feels like a very unexciting, low upside pick to me.
Yeah, at the worst, whatever. The best thing about it is that he at least got him, round 15. But yeah, I do agree. I actually went back though after the stream and I looked at his last few games. And it's a very small sample size. There weren't amazing performances, but I never remembered him he actually had 4 kind of solid performances.
5-6 targets a game. Yeah.
He actually coming on, and then he got hurt for the rest of the season. So
but he broke a bone in his foot. That's not always a good thing.
Interesting.
I don't have a problem with. I drafted Theo in one of my startups.
Okay.
Probably around this range. I'm indifferent to the pick. I would say Ben Sinnott. I'm totally off him. Couldn't get on the field. I mean, I wouldn't waste a 13-round pick on him. I would re-roll right there for whatever rookie pick was there on the board, because you're going to get a tight end that's just the same or better.
Yeah. Here's the thing: what are you getting for Ben Sinnott these days? Because to me, he's one of these players that you probably can't give away, but yet if you go to the Ben Sinnott owner in another league and offer. Random 3rd or something, you're getting rejected. So I would rather buy him if I got a manager like you that just kind of wants to get off him and re-roll, and I can kind of get a discount on him, and I'll just kind of bet on the year 2 breakout or a Ertz injury or whatever. Hope he turns into Trey McBride. But I understand your thinking, but
you couldn't get in front of the other tight end. What was it, Allen or someone?
What?
He couldn't get in front of the other tight end.
But Ertz had a great season, and he's fantastic. He had a fantastic
it was the Bates guy.
Bates, yeah.
They actually
couldn't get in front of Bates.
He re-signed that Bates guy to 3 years, but I don't know enough about that guy.
Bates doesn't count. Bates doesn't got. He's a blocking tight end.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a blocking
tight end. That's
not would leapfrog Bates. There's no doubt in my
exactly. That's how I'm thinking about it. But it was just like that guy's getting on the field. So yeah, I was the biggest Sanat guy like last offseason, just for you get him in the third round. But now I'm still into Sanat. I'm still into the whole the McBride arc here. But I'm not taking him in the 13th. So I definitely agree with that pick. And I think I actually said that last night. But I noticed too DK Metcalf at 6'11", and it's actually a really reasonable price for DK Metcalf. Like no one else seemed to be too into him. I would never take him ahead of the receivers ahead of him. But I was looking back through his past couple years, and man, it's been bad. Now he gets a landing spot. It could be worse. I mean, honestly, at this point, it almost might be better if Rodgers lands there. Because I think his last couple of years were like 12 points per game and like 13 or something. I know it was 12 last year. It's just been brutal. I mean, he's basically just been, maybe like I'm giving too much flack to Shakir. Like maybe like Metcalf's like really expensive Shakir the last couple of years. But it's just not been good. So I'll give it to Metcalf. And of course, when he picked him, he wasn't even a Steeler. He was a Seahawk.
Right.
But with that being said, maybe Geno was gone. Probably not, actually. I can't remember. It would have been right when you made that pick, though, that Geno left. So, what about best pick, by the way?
There isn't a best pick. They're all great.
Yeah, it's a tough.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different options.
I'll give it to Connor. Even though we were getting him like a little bit later in picks, he got him double digits. I love my James Conner.
I mean, even if it's just 1 year.
It gives them, a third back option. It's really hard to say. I just pick James Conner because I love me some Conner.
I'm going to say Marvin Harrison at the 302. Just the fact you get him in the third round, he could be like a first round startup pick a year from now. I mean, it's possible, not guaranteed, but it's definitely in the range of outcomes. I believe in him. I think that's a pick that's going to age very well, and he's probably only going to go higher from here. Like this is probably his low point for the next several years.
I agree. I don't see him getting into the first round next year. I see him getting into the beginning of the second, but it's still great.
And when you're there, it's the same.
But that's
thing.
the standard where he goes. He goes there every draft. That's where he goes.
Yeah.
Okay.
The 301, 302.
Yeah, but I still love the pick, so I just wanted to highlight that.
Yeah, and then also, we got some chat going here. By the way, we got to catch him on. So Hawkeyes, aka Cooper, says he's got basically a nomination. It sounds like for his worst pick. Concerns about Montgomery. With the post, every coach leaving but Campbell. There was the injury at the end of the last year. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
where he made it back for playoffs. So
it's not the coaches that signed into the extension, though.
It wasn't
the coaches weren't the ones that gave him a contract extension, and they want to save Gibbs. They don't want to give Gibbs too much work. Yeah. That's the whole point of this.
Yeah, the Montgomery thing, I think he goes around the right spot. I actually don't own any Montgomery. Though, it feels a little like I can't. I think it's the pick ended up being really solid for his team here, especially if I were to take like a player behind them at the same position, it would be like maybe just Mixon. That's it.
I'm not worried about any of those running backs that he chose. Out of all the worries we have for all the backfields on all the teams, I'm not worried about those running backs.
Yeah,
that's why it was such a successful draft. Will he be top 24? Probably. Will he be top 12? No, I doubt it.
Yeah, and then.
I like the Montgomery pick as well. I mean, both those running backs just seem like rock solid, low risk. There's almost like zero chance of either the Panthers or the Lions taking a running back early in the draft.
And the Cardinals.
And the Cardinals.
So
I think the Cardinals could take a running back.
I think he invested in a very safe backfield. So, if I'm acquiring running backs this time of year, those are the kind of backfields I want to target. So I love that. Because normally you don't get that kind of safety unless you invest in the expensive studs. So he's kind of having his cake and eating it too. So I feel like he kind of beat the system here a bit, which I love. And I like the Montgomery pick. And
before going back to the comments, actually I will point out two things that just I wouldn't personally done in his draft. Now I'm not saying these are bad picks. Jones, especially Jones now going to Indianapolis, I think that's a great pick. And Milton. But he already had 2 rock solid quarterbacks. He can handcuff them or whatever. I don't know if Dallas has one. But when you're this great.
Trey Lance.
Give me a rookie pick. Give me a guy that's produced. Give me Braylon Allen. I guess you want to pick earlier, but give me players like that. Just someone that can contribute to my starting lineup. I mean, and then I'll just get different backup quarterbacks. That's maybe my one other nitpick there.
Yeah, but I like if you go scroll down a little bit further, if you can. He just hammered guys. All these guys could end up getting, some bye weeks and stuff, and
Washington
might make it into his lineup. You never know.
Interesting. Yeah, I completely forgot about Parker. So we got to get to. Packer Guru says Laporta and Bowers have skewed our perception of what early success looks like at the tight end position, which is very true.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting more impatient, but it seems like every year now we're getting a Bowers, a Laporta. At worst, mid-season you get McBride coming out. But yeah, definitely damaging the young tight end market. If you get a slow start.
That's a good point because I don't know which team we were looking at. Some teams might address tight end in this draft that didn't go tight end heavy at all. And, we discussed this. They might reach on a tight end in the first round. They might wait for one of the second or third or fourth or fifth ones off the board, but there's no guarantee those guys are going to hit. It might take them 3 years. Like the Eagles are rumored to take a tight end, but that doesn't mean he's going to get on the field this year.
Yeah.
He could be the second tight end off the board,
That's been like what I've been trying to do with teams, and some of my teams are like that, but then you kind of lose sight and you draft Sanat, which I think is a fine bet because Ertz always get hurt, always getting hurt, and then he finally played healthy. But look at like Schoonmaker, Strange, like guys like that, just go buy him in their second year for literally pennies, or pick him off the waiver wire. And then now, like, I'd rather have those guys over, like, me personally, I'd rather have them over those guys, at least pre-draft, all those sleeper tight ends this draft. So,
I just want to say it was my intention to get Strange in startups this year, and I've been in 4, and I haven't gotten him in one of them.
Coming up.
Every round, every draft it keeps coming up. I'm like,
this one, obviously after the news, I knew we were not going to get him. And then Hutch says, he hates the DK pick too. Obviously because like the Steeler trade and all that stuff. And then Joey, he says, how do I join one of your leagues? That's a good question because like we just did this startup. I don't know if we're doing like another one, but like we were in multiple leagues together, and there's got to be like an orphan at some point,
I just told Joey in the chat to message me on Sleeper, gave my handle at DanForge500. Yeah. And so I do have a couple of orphans and a couple of leagues that I'm in. You guys aren't in those leagues, so it's not one of those leagues that we're all kind of in together. Yeah. But if you're just looking for like a fun orphan to take over, like I could definitely help you with that right now. But either way, if you connect with me on Sleeper, I could certainly be on the lookout if we ever get a manager that leaves in one of the leagues that we're all in. Maybe we could get you into one of them. So definitely connect with me on Sleeper, and we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, connect with Dan because it's still a month before the NFL draft. We might do another startup at some point.
Hey, you never know.
It's hard. Exactly. Yeah, I was thinking my one buddy too, who Joshy knows, is buddy I know in real life. They're Avengers. I was saying, what he was saying, when's our co-managed team there? When I told him we were doing one, so maybe
good luck with that.
Two co-managers, right? We'll be eating all the clock. But yeah, I actually have an orphan. I think that is opening up in a league. I can't remember if the guy stayed or not. So I might even have a league actually for you that I'm in, but no one else in here is in that league is all. So
we can certainly keep you posted though. So definitely connect with us, and we'll see what happens.
Gotcha. And then let's get finally back to our drafts now. So we have. Dan, your team. We went over the beginning of your draft on the other stream.
I want to hear what Joshy thinks of it because I know what you think of it, Blake. Yeah. So I'm dying to get Joshy's.
Right. Click on it and shrink and close.
I'll give you this.
Just close that down. Click on Dan. Is that Dan? Okay. Yeah. So the trade back, I know you liked your trade back. I would have wanted more.
Yeah.
You moved. I mean, you took McConkey, but it was more than a tier, in my opinion.
Yeah.
In season, that's what the trade up is, right? It's, the second tier to trade up to the first tier, and a first. But in a startup, I kind of want more to move off it.
Yeah.
Even if it's just like, I don't know, a 10th for a 14th or something like that, like
Something else thrown in. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
an early
agree.
second for, it's like I let someone move up to the mid second in to get the 101 rookie, and like they gave me their late third, a 2026 first, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I need a later round swap as well, because otherwise I'm gonna tap this pick here, because I know, it's a point per carry league, all this stuff. And there's just moments where you can get more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
I
what
think
we're
you have
saying.
I think
I agree with you. I think
Yeah.
I think I left some meat on the bone there. So
That's what I was saying last night too. He basically traded from Jefferson because he made 2 trade backs. He traded Jefferson for McConkey, got a first and a second on top. So obviously very depending.
Oh, you got a
on,
first and a second.
Well, because
Oh,
he
you
was on
got a
that
first and a
pick.
second?
He was originally he got a first.
It was
originally at
multiple
1-7.
trades. Like basically, I was hoping to get Bowers there. Of course, Andrew took him, which I halfway expected.
I mean, I should
So-
just bring up the original trades.
It was a double.
Say.
So he started at 1-7. He traded back for a second to 110,
Yeah.
and then he just traded back for a first to 211. That's all it was.
Mhm.
So he traded the pick that could have been Jefferson to McConkey and a 1st and a
Mhm.
second. So very
Well,
depending
actually,
on.
It was where the McBride pick was in the second that I actually got the
okay.
26 second thrown in. So it was basically like
Oh,
3.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. I like that more than a little bit,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
Yeah, I still think I
Yeah.
could have gotten a little bit more. So I 100%
yes,
agree.
Yeah.
yes.
So
But I do like your start.
Mhm.
I do like your start. I mean, Knicks fell to you.
yeah. Which we were about to that was a whole nother story. We traded back for a great deal. Otherwise we would have taken Knicks.
Yeah.
Falls
I went-
into his lap.
I went McConkey, Barkley in a draft myself. I started.
Okay, nice.
I like that start.
Yeah.
I have 2 extra firsts. No, I have 1 extra first, but yeah. I mean, I don't love Jameson Williams.
Okay.
I know you're a Detroit fan.
Yeah.
I love the Jonnu Smith pick. I honestly think, and I know you sniped us, but I think Fields is your worst pick that I see so far.
Interesting. You gotta explain
Because you don't need those two. He's going to sit on your team. You're going to have to sell one of your other 2 guys.
I mean,
and then you don't have
injuries and bye weeks, bad matchups. Like I think I'll get some.
right. I mean, if you hit on Tillman, which is a possibility, you hit on Grando, then it doesn't matter. Then you it's gravy. But otherwise,
Go ahead.
I'd rather have a position player.
I see what you mean, because it's kind of like the Charbonnet thing. Like you want a guy that can.
I think you should have sold that
pick.
pick if you could have gotten a first, right there, and moved back 2 rounds in the draft. Like that's where I think the value was personally.
The problem is that like no one was really offering me much. I mean, the first offer I got from you guys was pretty low ball, and then I think after I made the pick that you finally like upped the offer, but it was still like. Nowhere near to like what I was wanting for Fields. Like, I mean, I'm basically valuing Fields as like a late first personally. Not everyone's going to agree with that. But that's where I value him.
So we gotta tell this quick story though about this whole Fields
we will in a
pick.
second. Let me just. This is going to tie in, and it'll come into full circle, because I started reflecting on Fields a lot after this. Range of outcomes for Fields. Best case scenario, he's a starting quarterback. He gets a deal. He goes on. Most likely range of outcomes is less than that.
Wait, he just signed a contract. So I mean, like,
there's a possible range of outcomes if they draft a quarterback and he loses the starting gig before the end of the year.
Yeah,
that's a I started because he was our target in this draft, so I started thinking about this and started looking into it. He's got a 2-year contract. They could replace him after this year. And they could draft someone this year and replace him during the year if they wanted.
Oh yeah, I mean, all those things are possible. So there's certainly risk with Fields, but I just like my chances. Like the Jets wanted him. Like there were reports of that before free agency started. They went out, got him on day one of free agency. They threw $40 million at him, which isn't that much money for quarterbacks these days, I get. But like at the same time, like Justin Fields had just been traded for a 7th round draft pick to the Steelers. So like I kind of thought the NFL was out at him at that point. So like I was a little surprised to see, when I started hearing those reports that the Jets were really interested in him and then end up giving him a decent contract. So that's just one of those things where, like, once I saw that, like, I needed to see it to believe it. But, like, I'm all in now. I just think, like, he puts up elite fantasy points.
He's got top 5 upside weekly. So,
oh, yeah, he does it like a quarter of the time he starts. So, I mean, he's insane.
So,
like,
basically the pick, I understand, the pick, it's like, it'll hurt and just in the fact that, like, you're cementing a top 11 pick, just like you said, with the Charbonnet type thing. Like,
that's fair.
But obviously, you can just trade in and you'll figure it out. So it's also amazing. It's also like your best pick.
It does give me the flexibility to trade Bo Nix or Baker Mayfield, knowing I can get probably a pretty good price for them, especially Bo Nix.
Exactly.
Well, Bo Nix you want 2 first for, it's going to be hard to get him.
So we got to tell this story.
I think you would want 2 first for Bo Nix, and it's going to be hard to get that.
Well,
I mean, it could be because in a 12-team league, like how much scarcity is there at quarterback? Like how many teams out there really badly need one? So I get that, but
you're right about the quarter. That's the thing. They are going to be a really hard sell, both of them, if you want like at least price you want. Simply because everyone just did a startup. Everyone had their pick at quarterback in their quarterbacks. So like no one's really going to need a quarterback. But we got to address the chat here. Hawkeye saying he thought the pick was great. Also said Nix in the 3rd was a steal, which also agree. But
thank you.
For Hawkeye,
we passed on him, Hawksy. Cooper, we passed on him. It's a long story.
So this is the Field story. I'll do it as quick as possible. Josh and I, we passed on a huge. We were like trying to figure out a quarterback situation. It really began with Penix.
Oh, click on our team.
We got. I guess I do here. We got sniped on Penix 1 pick before when we could have just traded up for cheap, but we took our chances. And then we come down and we had a pick with Bryce Young. We could have taken him 6'10". We take McCaffrey over him. So basically, our whole plan was we just like Fields. At
that point, we're going to pick Fields in the early 10th, no matter what.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to take him.
Exactly, early 10th. We had all the picks set up. Now we waited. This is all pre-free agency, and then we come up. We get Andrews Adams, and we have the pick at 10-4 here for Fields, and Joshy goes to bed, and this is on like the night of like the going into the 10th, and I'm like I texted him like I can get some.
We are an hour and a half away from being on the clock.
Well, I traded the pick away the night before, right, and then the clock stops all night. Now, I read that free agency starts on the 12th at 4 p.m. What I didn't know was that was like the official signing, like the contract. It was not when the deals go down. That was the next day at noon. So, and I knew that...
This was Sunday into Monday.
I was looking at the 3 teams behind. I knew Fields 100% was not going to go. I knew Dan was not going to pick Fields especially. And then this is what happens. To my surprise, I think it was a little your text, Hawkeyes, something about free agency was like, what is he talking about? The free agency is not today. And what do you know, Dan's on the clock, like, it was like he has the whole beginning of the free agency period on this clock. Yep. And then with like an hour left, Fields is like the only notable player to sign. And then, it puts Fields on Dan's radar. And
and Fields was like right near the top of ADP, so it couldn't have like happened at a more perfect time. It was just
It was literally the biggest like nightmare ever, because it was like not only did we just like completely plan to take Fields and like that was our whole plan.
We moved back for nothing.
Yeah, and we moved back for literally nothing. It was just the free agency was on the same day. Like it just so happened to be Dan there, like he taking the clock. And it just so happened he was the only player of note, like in that range, to sign. Because had Najee, well, I don't know if you tried to take Najee, but had Evan Ingram signed, you definitely would have just like hopped on, boom, Evan Ingram.
And then that news that broke before Fields, and I was on the clock. I may have just run to the podium. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just like absolute nightmare scenario.
This is my text. Going to bed. If we get on the clock, feel free to pick Fields.
Yeah.
That was an hour and a half later, and he trades it for peanuts. Oh, tell him what you traded it for. Oh, that's funny.
It was like for
I think we got
a couple
a bump
picks up.
Blake had an empty net and he still missed the shot.
Yeah. I mean, it was look. The process was right. Dan admitted, he wouldn't have taken Fields. It wasn't on his radar. But I didn't know it was free agency. I fumbled the bag. I think it worked out great for us though, because now when I look at our team,
it doesn't matter. It's just a quarterback.
That's
the thing.
I'm happy with how it worked out. And
listen, everyone's going to draft value quarterbacks differently. I think there's a lot of them, and and they can be accessible, attainable. If everyone's going to be stingy with their quarterbacks, you're not going to have no one's going to be. People will be trading less. It's just the way it is. So if you want an active league, you gotta be able to move pieces. I'm willing to move pieces.
Yeah, so that's all the Fields discourse there. Just, it was a lesson learned about free agency. Absolute nightmare. Hawkeyes says he respects the process, and the process was right. The process was he wasn't going to take Fields, but it was the fact that Fields signed during the time.
But I woke up, I thought Fields was going to be on our team.
Yeah.
And I see traded back, and Blake's explain to me why these guys aren't going to pick him. Don't worry.
I was like, dude, the funniest part is I was in the middle of literally sending you a text, and it's it's all right. Fields won't sign in the next hour. It will be good, and he won't pick him. Yeah. And then as I said that, it's Fields signed.
Oh shit, we're in trouble.
Yeah. And then I was saying, okay, it's all right if he takes Fields. We can just try and send something up to go offer. And it's and who knows if he'll still take Fields? He probably will. And then as I'm sending that text, if I had not sent. It's just Fields picked. It's oh, great. Great.
You hear that dreaded sound of, the pick is made on sleeper.
So I have PTSD with Fields, but anyways, so that I'll award that your best pick. Your team as a whole, I rated it last night. I said A-, depending on JMO kind of Jono picks. Could range into my B+, but that's just I'll give it A- because we could say that about anyone's team if their picks don't hit.
And I do love Najee Harris. I do think he's getting paid a lot more than Dobbins. He's going to be the 1A there. Mm-hmm. They might draft a running back, but I love Najee. He was going in the 13th in most drafts that I saw. So he's coming up because of the signing, and I think that was a savvy pick by you.
Thank you.
It also doesn't make you have to take a running back if the one doesn't fall to you that you want.
Yeah.
And it's going to give you more flexibility, for sure.
Yeah, I think when I made that Najee pick, I was kind of just riding the high of the Justin Fields win and how that all played out, and I basically just kind of wanted more of that. I was looking to just kind of take advantage again of free agency news breaking, and so when I heard the news about Najee signing the contract. And the details of it weren't known yet about, some of it being incentives or whatever. But all I saw was $9 million or whatever. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to trade up and get Najee here. It seemed like, he was the last running back on the board that I could feel good about starting going into the season and just kind of lock up that RB2 spot. So did a trade up. It wasn't basically the worst thing I had to give up in the trade was a 26 third and fourth swap. So, I didn't even.
I saw that off your team.
So I was like, you know what? Give me my guy. Give me Najee. So I was thrilled with that. Yeah. So that was a fun day in the draft, getting Fields and Najee with their new deals.
Oh, 100%. Now, the notable thing about your team here is these last two. Now, here's the thing, though. You have two notable
We let
picks.
you have Tillman. We were discussing
that's
that.
That's right. Well, we'll have to get to that on our team because we picked right before. You have the 1-5, 112, so generally, you can slot that in as in your flex spot. So you'll be good if you're making those picks, whatever you do with those picks. Injuries coming. If CMC was healthy, what if Tillman? There's a couple question marks here, but again, we look down. You have Okonkwo. Mm-hmm. You have an extra first in your back pocket. You're well covered, and then you had basically all our targets at tight end late.
Yeah, I mean, I'll throw Tyler Higbee into the flex week 1 if I have to. I mean, I'm definitely not scared of that. I mean, who knows? Maybe I even get lucky on Will Dissly or Stone Smart being their team's starting tight end. I think both those guys are pretty interesting. Basically got them for free. Even picked up
Did
some more.
Did you pick him up after the draft, Stone Smart?
I drafted him, yeah.
You drafted him?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty late. All the rookie picks
He's a Jet. He's a Jet now, right?
He's a Jet. Yeah. And so I got the sack with Fields, so come on. How do you not love him? Right?
Uh-oh, that's
home
dangerous.
Run. Yeah, so I think that's part of the
You should trade
reason.
Barkley for Breece Hall.
Get the whole. You'll be like Coda.
Nah, but I'm thrilled to have Saquon as my only share of him. But I think probably part of why I was like comfortable making some of the trades I did. Or I'm sorry, not some of the trades, but specifically taking the Fields pick, because I know you were saying, Joshy, how like, that could have been a flex play or whatever. But I think I was just confident in my ability to kind of get those sleepers later in the draft, like get those tight ends no one was valuing that, I'm comfortable throwing in the flex with the 2 PPR. So I think that's why I was comfortable taking the luxury pick in Fields. But I certainly understand the criticism. And yeah, I was the first one to say that about, whoever it was a Colossal or whatever, taking Charbonnet. So I understand it, but that was my reasoning.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's probably not the worst pick you made, but
yeah. What do you think? What do you think overall, Josh? Do you like what I did here? Because like,
I like your team a lot.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
What do you have draft capital wise?
1-5, 112.
Yeah.
No. Futures.
First and second.
Yeah, I have 2 26 first, 2 26 seconds, and 2 26 fourths, and I just had to trade.
So you have the 105, 112, the 302, and the 402. Yeah, you're in a great spot.
Yeah.
You're in a great spot.
Yeah, I think so.
Very similar spot to us, just
Yeah, we have very similar builds, except for we had to go quarterback late, and
you guys have like the studs at the top with like
we have elite wide receivers. I mean, I don't know how Neighbors is going to perform this year with the quarterback play. We have to wait to see who's there, but it doesn't mean he's going to be.
He did it with Tommy.
It doesn't mean he's going to be putting up chase numbers this year.
Yeah.
We don't know that yet.
Yeah.
We don't know what his target share is going to be. We don't know how they're going to run the offense. Those coaches are on the hot seat, and they're going to do whatever they can to win games. And that might be, we don't know what that's going to be.
Yeah.
It might not be force feed Malik Neighbors the ball with a 30% target share. We don't know.
Yeah, it's gonna
Neighbors looks good.
It
looks good sitting there. Oh, I got that really great, it
21-year-old,
dynasty asset, but
it could be an ADV pick. That's tough taking him over Lamb. I would have been just happy, letting everyone choose for us. But like, man,
we
honestly,
were trying to move back for cheap. We were trying to move back for little bits.
Like, I know it was a terrible receiver reward, but he missed 2 games. It's just like it was just insane the number he's putting up, and if he gets a quarterback, But
what's interesting about Neighbors is that he started the season like on fire. He didn't have like a 40% target share and everything.
Yeah.
And then he kind of faded down the stretch, which is typically the opposite of what rookie wide receivers do. So it's a bit strange.
But think about it though. What happened right when he started to cool off post concussion, but non-concussion related? What had happened?
Oh, is that when they traded Daniel Jones?
That's when Daniel Jones was cut. Right, so now you're playing with Tommy Cutlets, and now you're playing with like that. He shouldn't even be like a starting quarterback ever. He shouldn't even be like a top 2. You know what I mean? And then you're playing with Drew Lock and like so like what I mean. He's still putting up numbers and had a
he started on fire, but he got injured. He was out for 2 weeks, week 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he came back and he wasn't quite the same.
Yeah. So
and then he started picking up towards the end of the year again.
Yeah, even with the
don't get me wrong, I love
garbage.
Neighbors.
Yeah. So I mean, exactly. Like if he was still putting up spike weeks and stuff, that's what gives me the confidence to take him there.
Oh yeah.
It's good to see.
We both wanted it.
Yeah, wide receiver 6, rookie season, injured, garbage quarterback play.
I mean, he's a stud.
Range of outcomes. He's the first wide receiver off the board next year. That's definitely a range of outcomes. So
absolutely, I love Neighbors.
Yeah. I guess we transitioned then into our draft. Basically, the story of Josh and I draft was grab a couple of receivers early. We were both big Purdy guys. Seems like, and then this is a big 3 rounds right here. We take kind of the value in the rookie picks, flexibility. We know there's gonna be a lot of good running backs, tight ends, receivers, whatever's there.
That's the 104.
104.
The 104 could be the first quarterback off the board. It could be the second. It could be the second running back off the board, or it could be Tech McMillan.
Yeah, it could be like literally any position.
There's a lot,
and you can feel very, very good about it.
Or it could be the first tight end if you want.
Yeah, exactly. You can literally get a guy. So I love that for our flexibility, because we kind of just felt like we could kind of go the way we want to the rest of the draft. It won't matter. We'll be able to have those picks to figure it out. And then we make a huge decision in McCaffrey over Young. I just love that. I mean, I'm just not a Young guy. So for me, let's just, for all I know, Young's going to lose his job. I know that's not a popular opinion, or he just won't matter that much in fantasy. It's like if McCaffrey's healthy, we know we have a home run here, and that kind of set like the tone for the rest of the draft. 2 PPR for those that are just tuning in. So tight ends are just very important. I feel like
this is a
steal.
12-team start 11 PPR super flex tight end premium of 1.0, so that you get the 2 PPR for tight ends.
Yeah.
But it seemed like tight ends they weren't really viewed very highly. So both of our teams were able to take advantage of that. And I think it's some really nice value at tight end. You got the trio of Njoku, Andrews, and Ingram. That's just like the ultimate trio of just like the undervalued tight ends that are great in these like high tight end premium leagues, but they never have the dynasty value that they should, but like they're just great on contenders and these tight end premium leagues. So love all 3 of those guys in the value you got on them.
Yeah, we had to take a leap of faith on Ingram. Which worked out. Yeah, I didn't feel like it was like that big because he's visiting with the Broncos.
He went to the perfect spot.
Yeah, so very happy with that. And then we fill out with Carr and Rodgers. Fine with that as a QB2. Yeah, we have a 104, 106. Who knows? Like, there's going to be a quarterback available. We can trade around.
Let me read off your rookie picks here. You got 10, 25 rookie picks: 104, 106. 205, 212, 301, 305, 307, 401, 405, 408. So you got 2 firsts, 2 seconds, 3 thirds, 3 fourths. You guys are absolutely loaded. I mean, you damn near own this. You're damn near going to own this rookie draft. So, I mean, you guys are in an amazing spot. I love what you did with the draft. Like, the only hiccup was kind of a QB with the whole field thing, but you were covered well enough getting, Carr and Rodgers. You guys can make trades as well. So you guys are going to be just fine. I love what you did.
Yeah, I mean, right. You hit the injury bug and we'll buy a quarterback off you, right?
Yeah. Hey, I'm always open to do business.
If someone hits a quarterback bug, maybe we're the ones selling.
Never know.
We got some guys. We got some handcuffs going. We even have if Rodgers goes to Steelers, I made sure we got Rudolph, like one of the last picks, because he's back in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, we have Mac Jones and Purdy.
Mac Jones was a must. I love that landing spot.
We went a little early on him probably, but it's all good. Yeah. No, we got him in the 19th. That's right.
Yeah, and then.
But the interesting thing is, like, CMC is like your only running back. I mean, Will Shipley's your RB2, but you got all these rookie picks.
Exactly.
You're gonna be fine.
Yeah, so that's the biggest part about our draft, and interested everyone's in the chat.
Yeah, we're gonna probably try and get one good running back in the draft.
Similar thinking to Hutch, but completely different approach. With him, he went into all the safe backfields. Us, we would have been open to taking running back. It just never came. We were not saying we were gonna never draft a running back. Yeah. It just never happened is all. There was just not really, I think Najee Harris, you were into him if he came to us, but at 11.5 there. But, we know it's a super loaded running back class.
I mean, we were targeting the 13th.
I'm assuming that played a pretty big part into your thinking. Like when you were on the clock with each pick and you were looking at the running backs on the board, I'm sure you were probably thinking about like, oh man, could this running back get nuked in the draft? Could that running back get nuked in the draft? Just give me the rookie pick. Just give me the wide receiver, the tight end. Like, I mean, is that pretty accurate in terms of how you guys were thinking?
Pretty much. So. I mean, the McCaffrey pick was we wanted a difference maker.
Yeah.
We feel like our first 2 picks. Position players were difference makers, and that's going to be our next position player besides a rookie pick or a quarterback. We want it to be a position player. So we want it to be a difference maker, and that's why we chose McCaffrey. And then from there on out, we weren't going to settle. Like we wanted to make sure. I mean, I honestly, in my opinion, Devontae Adams is the best pick of our draft. Because he's going to.
You guys sniped me on him, so.
I mean, I don't have him at all. I sold him for last year, but I don't have him on any team at this point. And it's just with the news, with the way the news broke, it's like he's going to be, barring injury to Stafford, he should be a WR1. And now we have 3 WR1s. We got the third one at the 9-10 turn, and with the 3 tight ends we have, I mean.
Yeah. You guys are set up well, and I love the landing spot on the Rams. Like, I just love owning Rams receivers for fantasy. I love owning receivers connected to Matthew Stafford in fantasy just throughout his career. So I think he could definitely smash this year. Like, I wanted him pretty bad. Did you guys trade up to get him?
We did, yeah.
Yeah, so you guys jumped ahead of me. Yeah,
we were
so.
sitting at the 9 and 10 or 11, 11, and we ended up like getting a double tap spot for pretty cheap. And because like Andrew was sitting there and just like, it just felt like a great deal for both those guys.
Yeah, we didn't want to choose between both, even though we had the same reasoning as you on not picking Andrews earlier.
Yeah,
that might not be the best for this format.
Them being like kind of touchdown dependent, but still at that value, like
at that value,
I think that's more than a fine pick.
Yeah,
I agree. Exactly. And we wanted to get them both. We didn't want to choose between them. So
hey, you got them
both.
And
Diggs orchestrated that move, so that was quite crafty.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was,
and then we were surprised like Ingram fell to us there, honestly, and
I think it's just because he was unsigned, so like you really got a nice discount on him just because of that uncertainty. I think it was similar to the discount I got on Dallas Goedert because like rumors of him getting traded and everything, and so people are like, oh, which team he's going to be on. So I think that created some nice value for both those tight end picks there. So I think those are similar. I think your CMC pick was kind of similar to my Saquon pick, just kind of like. The old guy that's going to be a difference maker. So I do think there were some similarities in how we built our teams. We both got an extra 26 first. We both, got some pretty decent rookie picks. We both have 2 firsts and 25. So I think we were kind of thinking along the same lines during this draft.
100%. Let me cut in here for the knowledge of the chat because Joey had pieced out. I noticed, a few minutes ago, saying thanks for the advice, and he said he'll definitely watch. If we do rookie mocks and have a good night there. So
thank you so much for joining us. Like great to have you here, and love seeing all the engagement in the chat. Like it's just awesome seeing everyone here.
Yeah, so Packer Guru, if you're still hanging around, you just said you're leaving. I mean it's just to see if I don't know if you said or not if you're in the league or not, or just kind of came across the page like Joey. So if you're in here, interested to hear that. But also he said he's tapping out.
All right.
Oh, it's Matt. Okay, sorry, I didn't read the back of his comment.
Oh, it's Matt. Hey, Matt. Hey.
It's Matt. Hey, Matt. Hey.
Let's make a deal.
Oh, perfect. Oh, dude, yeah. Matt's hilarious. Like, we've been having a lot of fun because we both love Seinfeld and sending each other a lot of gifts and everything. So he's a fun guy to have in the league. So thanks so much for joining us, Matt.
Yeah. So thank you.
Hey, Matt, these pretzels are making me thirsty.
Oh yeah. He knows what that means, no doubt in my mind.
So thanks for everyone in the chat there. And what you're saying, I wanted to just address the whole free agency thing, which is funny because I think it was an advantage for anyone in doing a startup, and maybe this will be now relevant to next year because free agency's already kind of came and went. But like when Josh and I were just thinking about like we know Fields is going to start. There's no way he doesn't. That would mean like there's an absolute dust ball starting ahead of him. It makes no sense. That's why we were willing to target him. Same thing with Ingram here. I mean, we were shocked he fell here, especially just with
after he was released. It's just a matter of time he got signed.
He already had done his visit with the Broncos that day, so everyone had the option to they all knew that, and so it's like. I wonder how much that played a factor in their picks, and obviously there was other stuff going on, and other good players on the board. But if you just looked at the market with Ingram, that's what was really sold me is this is a no-brainer, smash. Where's he gonna sign? The best tight end is Tyler Conklin. I think Juwan Johnson had already got his extension or was about to. It didn't matter. He could just pick wherever he wanted to go, and obviously the Broncos. I even mentioned the Chargers before he even visited them would be a good landing spot. He goes there. I was joking with Dan. He's probably collecting his free dinners with these teams and kind of milking it. But that's kind of what he ended up doing. So if you're drafting free agency or pre, and the guy's a free agent, especially in these certain situations, if you know they're going to be a starter and that's all you really care about, I feel like there's some good value there to kind of take the leap of faith.
Yeah, I think you can often get a discount with the uncertainty. So, I love rolling the dice on that, and usually it will turn out pretty good.
With all fairness, this is a round where he was going in previous startups I've did, but it is the fact that the news broke and he was going to a new team. I just thought that was going to be, once you're in the news and it's a full point tight end premium, I thought he would go a little bit earlier.
That's right, big premium, that was a big...
because
I got
the
sniped
premium,
on the
like,
last
really
draft I did. I got sniped on Njoku and him by basically one pick on him and maybe a couple picks on Njoku in the 9th and the 11th. But it's 1.75 instead of
yeah.
Yeah.
I think the full 2 PPR really makes these tight ends like truly viable flex options. So I think that's what's so much fun about a format like this, and especially since like sometimes you get in a league like this where I feel like the tight ends weren't properly valued for the scoring format, and so you get some really nice deals, and that can really give you a nice edge.
Yeah.
100%. And another thing to mention about news, like being in the news, like it is actually crazy. Just about every one of our favorite players down in these rounds, they were in the news, like not even before, when we were early in the draft. No, like when we were approaching the rounds. Thielen was in the news, he coming back. Jones was in the news. I'm trying to think if there was Mayer was in the news right before.
Right.
Johnson. There was just so many guys here that signed deals, came back. Basically, the only one that didn't do it was like Keenan Allen, and we didn't even end up taking him just because we knew we had to take Mac Jones, stuff like that, because he was in the news. So yeah, it's annoying. And then Slayton, we wanted Slayton for Neighbors because he was kind of as a handcuff in the 1 or 2 games where Neighbors missed, and we're like, sure enough, now Slayton's in the news. He was so buried in ADP, it wasn't funny. But yeah, anyways, so.
But great draft, guys. You killed it. Love having all the rookie picks. You're loaded with the trio receivers there.
We'll be able to do a lot for sure.
Oh, you have a lot of options. Yeah, you got the extra draft picks in 26. You got a nice build around. You're loaded at tight end. Like. You guys are set up great. You got CMC, war difference maker if he's healthy. So I love the gamble on him. Great job. Definitely give you guys an A. And well done.
Yeah. And those rules. I'm interested to see what goes on with all the rookie picks, because not that Josh was an anti-rookie pick, but there was always everyone wants the player on the board. There's a lot of great players.
More fun.
I was feeling like there was some a lot of rookie pick value. And especially because we went a lot of like big time difference makers with these tight ends, CMC. It just felt like, dude, imagine if we, not only is it great to have the draft capital moving around, everyone wants picks once you're there.
Oh yeah.
But if you hit on the next Bucky, Puka, name and all, even just like Tyrone Tracy, especially with our team.
Yeah,
that is just such an edge. So I would just give me anything. 412.
And you guys are gonna have so many bites at the apple. You have 10 of these picks. Even like the thirds and fourths. Like it's just gonna be
thirds
fun,
and fourths. I think that's what Blake's referring to. Those ones are the dart throws.
Oh, absolutely.
That if we hit on one of those or 2 of those, it's just.
It's game over.
It's more than worth it.
Yeah. You guys are gonna be a scary team. So I love what you did here.
Yeah. So I don't know if there's anything else we wanted.
Yeah, I think the last thing is we did get the poll results from the league chat of the break room. I asked which is the better board game, Yahtzee or Monopoly. Yahtzee's the winner. It edged out Monopoly 4-3. So
all right. And none of us voted, of course.
I voted. I think Blake voted too, right?
We canceled each other out. Yeah.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, Blake voted Yahtzee. I voted Monopoly. Yeah. See, what I like about Monopoly is you can gain control of the board, kind of build a dynasty, if you will. So that's kind of what I.
That's right. I was joking to Dan before you joined in. It's obviously the fantasy players, they want to play Yahtzee because it doesn't matter if you know what you're doing, because there is a tiny bit of strategy. But someone could just walk in and be hammered or just have no idea what they're doing and just roll 3 Yahtzees in a row, and that just sounds like fantasy to me.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the luck of the draw, but yeah, what I love about fantasy though, jokes aside, is that it's half luck and it's half skill. I think that's what makes it so intoxicating and so addictive. So.
In Dynasty, that's the thing. Redraft is holy luck, but at least in Dynasty. There's a much more of an edge. You might not win the championship, but you can be very consistent in your finishes and everything. Yeah, and having a good team year over year.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. So I think that wraps it up. Joshy, thank you so much for joining us. It was great having you here and meeting you.
Good to be here.
Look like.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, great job. Like, love getting your perspective on Dynasty and these startup drafts. Yeah, thanks so much for joining us. And
yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely join us again on a live stream sometime. Love to have you.
So,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And if anyone, that's
good.
new, we had a bunch of new people in here, guys in the break room. We'll,
Yeah.
we've been on a little bit of roll with streams. Like, we'll have to get, people from the break room also in here.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, if anyone else like watching this from the break room is ever interested in coming on a live stream sometime and just talking some Dynasty, like, we'd love to have you. So definitely message me or Blake if you're interested. And yeah, I mean, this is so much fun. Like, I love having Joshy and looking forward to having like other people from the league on here. So I think that'll be a ton of fun. And yeah, just love the momentum that we got with the channel lately in these live streams. It's been a lot of fun connecting with our league. So we definitely plan on doing more content about like the leagues we're in. And yeah, if you guys are enjoying this, definitely subscribe to the channel. If you hit the bell, you'll be notified anytime we go live. And yeah, like the stream. And yeah, thank you all so much for joining us. Anything else either of you guys want to say before we get out of here?
I'm ready to do some more startups, but I shouldn't.
Right. Yeah, I'm ready to do
Hey, we gotta get Joey in a league, so we might have to do another startup just because of Joey. So
that's us thinking.
Yeah. I've already committed to this spring, so
I have a good excuse because if I keep like co-joining them, like, come on, is it like a really?
It's not really a
one?
league.
It's at least at most a half one. Come on,
so
I can join another one. I'm able to join two. But also, yeah, and one thing that we should do is like, coming up is streaming maybe some mock drafts for rookies, pre-draft, post-NFL draft, just some stuff like that. And, if we could have some league mates on, Joshy back on, it should be fun. So, tune in for that.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, so I think that wraps it up. We just got Coda P in the chat here. He says, "You're." So,
I wonder if that's Coda. It probably is.
Oh, is that Coda? Probably. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, Coda, definitely watch the replay. We covered your team. We actually remember to do it this time. So we hope you enjoy our analysis there. And yeah, I think we're going to get out of here. So yeah, thank you everyone again so much for the support. And we will see you on the next live stream.
Thanks, guys. I'll see you without